Hi there, first grade friends. I'm Mrs. King from Plum Point Elementary School. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be answering a question, and that question is, why do I ask and answer questions about key details in a text? To do that, we are going to be reading a fantastic book called My Brave Year of Firsts. It's by Jamie Lee Curtis and Laura Cornwell. I chose this book because we can make some connections with the word first, can't we? After all, we are first graders. Let's think about this for a minute. What does the word first mean? First is the earliest time that something has happened or you've done something, okay? We're going to hear about all different kinds of firsts that the main character in our book has today. As we read, you may have some questions, or you might start to wonder about the text. You might wonder what a word means, or you might wonder why a character is doing that. We are going to be using key details from our text to help us answer those questions, to help us answer our wonders. So let's take a look at our anchor chart. Our I can statement says, I can ask and answer questions about key details in a text. We will write down our questions or what we wonder here. And on the other side, we will jot down key details that help answer our questions. Before we go any farther, let's take a look at some key words or phrases that we will encounter in our text. Here are some of the key words and phrases that we are going to see in our text today. Two-wheeler. Rescued lab. Boast. Not fit in. And twins.
All right, friends, let's look at our front cover. Our title is My Brave Year of Firsts, Tries, Sighs, and High Fives, written by Jamie Lee Curtis and Laura Cornwell. Now we have our back cover and our title page. Our title page reminds us that the title of our book is My Brave Year of Firsts, Tries, Sighs, and High Fives, written by Jamie Lee Curtis and Laura Cornwell. The first time I rode a two-wheeler alone, I crashed and my mom filmed it on her iPhone. I crashed and I crashed, Dad ran out of steam. He let go, I went straight. Mom filmed as she screamed. Let's look at our anchor chart for a minute. First of all, we heard our first key phrase, two-wheeler. What is that? It's a bike with two wheels. So the first thing I fill out is I wonder. And I wonder, why is Mom screaming? Let's take a look at some key details from the text and see if we can figure it out. First of all, we read that it was her first time riding a bike, a two-wheel bike. And she was smiling, which I think means that she is happy. So I think Mom is screaming because she's excited or happy for her daughter. Let's keep reading. I got my first pet, a rescued lab, Keith. I chose him because we were both missing front teeth. I'll take care of him, I said with a boast, till the first time I picked up his poop. It was gross. Okay, so first things first, we saw some key phrases and words. We had rescued lab. I think we figured out that that must be the dog, and he must have been rescued from a shelter. And then boast. What does boast mean? You know, I think that's going to go in my wonder section of my anchor chart because I wonder what boast means. Let's look at some key details here. This is her first pet. They're both missing front teeth. She said it's gross when she has to pick up his poop. But she did say that she would take care of him, and she said that with a boast. So I think she's feeling pretty proud of herself. Let's keep reading. The first day I walked straight into first grade. My teacher, Miss Apple, said, "Don't be afraid." At first, I felt like I might not fit in. Then I made my first friends, my very first twins. Back to the anchor chart. So, my question, what I wonder, is how does everyone feel? Let's look at some key details from the text. It's the first day of school. And we did read that our main character felt like she might not fit in. That was one of our key phrases. What does that mean, not fit in? It means that we feel like nobody will accept us for who we are because we might be too different. Okay? And then we do see that she meets friends. So, how do you think she feels about that? And here's the cool thing about her friends. They're twins. Do you know what that means? That means they could be a set of brothers or a set of sisters or a brother and sister that have the same mom and dad and were born at the same time. They were born like within minutes of each other. So they are twins. Let's keep reading. I struggled at first to learn to tie shoes. My sweet Auntie Cookie showed me choices to use. Bunny ears, classic, loop over under through. I tried and tried till at last I could too. I took riding lessons on a pony called Ace. The first time I fell, I got a scrape on my face. But then I held on and learned how to trot. That giddy up is go and whoa is stop. First grade was fun, new firsts every day. What a homonym was, what elephants weigh. Not all firsts were fun, some firsts were hard. When I stole Zoe's pencil, I couldn't play in the yard. Looks like somebody lost their recess. I asked for permission from my parents to walk with Keith and the twins, first time round my block. We took some supplies and carried Mom's phone. We felt all grown up to be out on our own. I went with my class to the public library. At first it seemed huge and a little bit scary. Then Joel the librarian got me my card. I found my first book. It wasn't that hard. I also got caught in my very first lie. My parents were cross. I started to cry. I learned a first lesson that to stand up and say, I did something wrong starts to make it okay. Let's revisit our anchor chart real quick. I wonder, what does cross mean? What did it mean that her parents were cross? Let's look back at some key details. She said she got caught in her first lie. She cried. And she said that she did something wrong. So what does it mean to be cross? I think that must be another word for angry. Would your parents be angry if you got caught telling a lie? I think so. For the very first time, I worked with my father. At his restaurant, I would not be a bother. I put out the hot sauce that makes your ears steam. As a waitress, I was a real part of his team. My first kept on coming, my first pony show, my first tummy flu that made me go and go and go. Oh, that sounds awful. My first big girl heels that made me feel tall, my first ballet class, my first game of t-ball. A fabulous first, my triathlon medal. For my age and group, a swim, run, and pedal. I raced against time, it was quite a test. While some tried to win, I just tried my best. I got my first case of the giggles in school when the boy 2 seats over started to drool. Then the milk I was drinking came out of my nose, and I turned very red from my head to my toes. All right, let's go back to that anchor chart one more time. I wonder, why did she turn red? Let's look back at the key details to help us. First, she said she got her first case of the giggles because a boy was drooling and then milk came out of her nose. I'm guessing the milk came out of her nose because she was laughing so hard. So why did she turn red? I think it might be because she was embarrassed. Let's keep reading. I wanted to learn to make a rope skip, but for all of my tries, I just learned to trip. It was very hard to connect hands and feet. Till the first time it worked, it was quite a feat. I found a small beetle who was missing a leg. I got him a box and I named him Greg. I punched a few holes to save him from cats. I added some grass, my first bug habitat. I got my first bee sting and boy did it hurt. I shouldn't have walked barefoot in the dirt. I sold some flat rocks that I painted and signed, and I made a donation for the very first time. I tried for the first time to taste my mom's truffles that apparently come from when pigs use their snuffles. She put them in pasta with broccoli stems. Try it, she said, but I'll never like them. At the end of the summer, I tubed on my own. I bounced on the water like a skipping stone. The lake was all glassy, smooth, dark, and cold. I held on and signaled just like I was told. And after the s'mores, we camped by the lake, my very first tent that my dad let me stake. All cozy and warm in my bag with a pad, I thought of all the fun firsts I had had. And I climbed the big rock. I was old enough now. My dad showed me step by step so I'd know how. I looked down at the lake. I jumped out without fear. When I came up and smiled, the entire lake cheered. Some firsts just happen. Some come when I try. Some firsts make me smile. Some firsts make me cry. But I knew at that moment, though I've known all along, that first things first happen when I'm brave, true, and strong. Let's revisit our anchor chart for a moment. Look at all of the questions that we asked and found answers to in the key details from the text. For our reader response today, we are going to be answering the question, what was your favorite key detail in the text that you wondered about?
So I'm going to show you how I'm going to respond in my reader response journal right now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a storyline across the middle like we did in kindergarten, just so I can decide where my drawing will be and where my writing is going to be. And I'm going to do my very best writing. So I'd like to write in a complete sentence. My question was, what was your favorite key detail in the text that you wondered about? So my favorite key detail was when she was riding her bike by herself for the very first time, her two-wheel bike. So I'm going to write my favorite key detail was, oh, I'm at the end of my line. Where do I go? I'm going to skip one. My favorite key detail was when Frankie rode her bike for the first time. And now I can come up and do my very best illustration from the story. Those are some of my details. All right, your turn. Get to work.